6:02.
Going to do roll call. Diane Schultz, Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas, Anthony Campbell,
Present.
Barry Wiles. Here. Trevor Warren.
Here.
It's 4-2, and you have a quorum.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anybody want to do invocation? All right. We'll need a motion to adopt the agenda whenever you guys are ready.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Diane Schultz, Barbara Thomas, Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Wiles,
Yes.
4-2.
4.
4-0, that's right.
Take yours this time. Look over minutes if you need to. Let me know if there are any changes. You guys have quite a bit in front of you, so if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. I'll try to answer it.
Only just one. It's nothing though. Just on the business where it says ATV, money, ATV is what we talked about.
Okay.
But that's nothing.
Did you see that? Where they're on a new business, switch it from UTV to ATV?
Yeah. Get one out of you.
But it's just good.
And put it where?
On new business, where it says purchase, and it says ATV, it should be UTV.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Wiles,
Yes.
4-0.
On to new business, we got Bart down in here, he's from Alliance, he's gonna give us a little presentation on basically, I'll let you take it. Bart.
Okay, I brought
You have the packets.
some material, I didn't know if you had a chance to.
I did, I think I don't know if they've taken it home yet, we've talked. So Bart had talked to the previous mayor a little bit, he's talked to me, and just give him, I just figured we'd give him an opportunity to present, his presentation to us.
So I guess I'll give you a Reader's Digest version. Back in December of 2019, I had stopped by and visited Mayor Poole. At that time, I think you were having some issues with back T samples and you were chlorinating at the time. Missouri Water had come by and was helping out. And I had spoken with Missouri Water. We kind of talked about what was going on. So probably went on through the first part of the year. I stopped in a couple other times and visited with Mayor Cool. Finally, we come to the point where I came down and met with Kenny. We toured the facilities. I put this proposal together with what we found to be some critical issues the city was facing on the water and wastewater side both. Then in the meantime, the mayor resigned for health reasons, to my understanding. So when I called back, I got to meet Mayor Noel. So we kind of picked up the conversation. I explained to him what we do. And so here I am tonight. We provide water and wastewater services for communities, municipalities, water districts, sewer districts in Missouri, Iowa, Tennessee, and Kentucky, mainly in Missouri. We've got about 34 systems in Missouri that we work for. We do not purchase anything. We work for the city. City maintains 100% ownership. City still maintains all the rate setting rights. I mean, we'll give you recommendations based on operational expenses we feel could be coming up for the next year, capital expenditures we feel would be needed for the next year. But when it comes to setting the rate, the council still in 100% control of that. We offer employment to existing employees. I myself was a transfer employee. I was working for a water district in Northwest Missouri. They contracted with Alliance in 2001, and my years of service with that district transferred to Alliance, so I had, for their benefits, I had the same amount of vacation time, the same amount of insurance availability, the 401k plan, all that was available to me in that transfer. So I became an Alliance employee at that time. So we try to keep the employees that are currently working for the city whole. In other words, we try to keep them at a minimum, at least what they're making now, what they're being offered now. And oftentimes, that ends up being a better package because we do have an insurance plan that they can join and become a member of. I'm throwing a lot at you there if you're just now looking at this for the first time. So I feel like we can help the city a lot with some of the issues you're having on the water side and the wastewater side. Some of the things that are coming up, especially with the new wastewater permit coming out in 2021. You're going to have some issues with E. coli and a decision to make, whether it's going to be chlorination, dechlorination, UV disinfection. You know, we're on your side of the table on that. We work through that with the engineers, decide on what we think would be the best for the city and make our recommendation.
Your recommendation on that was that you guys typically use chlorination, is that?
It varies. It varies. I won't say that
One way or another.
there's one, it varies from system to system. And again, that's a decision the city would make. We'll make our recommendation, but based on the city's budget or whatever the case may be, that's still your decision to what. But we would give our professional opinions where we feel like would be the best financially and operationally for the city. We guarantee 100% regulatory compliance, so if you contract with us and you have issues with the effluent and wastewater plant, any fines that could be from that would fall on us, because you've hired us to be the professionals to operate your water and wastewater system. Like I said, that's a lot to absorb. I know. Do you all have any questions or any?
Do you get the cost breakdown in theirs?
I do not. I brought.
That's something I'm sure everybody will look at. You need to make copies for you.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Awesome.
It's worked out been great for the existing employees. You know, we provide all the training, we get their certifications, and
Do you do any upgrades to existing infrastructure in-house, contract it all out, do you pay for that, do you pay for that?
the way the fee structure is set up, there is a repair limit and a chemical limit, and then you set a base of what is a capital expenditure. So normally anything that, and I believe it's in this contract, it's maybe $500, $1,000, I can't remember which, but anything over that amount would be a city expense, especially if it's a budgeted item or if it's going to extend the life of that piece of equipment for an extended period of time.
You know,
So, but routine daily maintenance, repairs costs, that's at our base fee. Supplies are at our base fee. Uniforms, safety equipment, that's all our base fee. Gasoline is our base fee. Weed restrict, all that stuff, all those,
so any upgrades would be a separate.
that would be the city's expenses.
What was the question? I'm sorry,
I just was asking, you know, upgrades to the infrastructure, if there was plans of, you know, we've got something that are old 3-inch cast iron, or a rough shake, or there, you know, if that was anything you guys included with that, or they did in-house, or just.
Now, the inspection of that would be included in our base fee, no other charge. I mean, we're working for you, we're doing everything as your employees, but giving you our professional opinion and our professional experience in the field to make decisions that we feel like is the best interest of the city.
You guys do the math up, don't we? I mean, we obviously do a lot of way out there, and I mean, a couple minutes away from wherever you think about, you know, for sure decision on there. What did catch my interest though is $32,778, what it breaks down per month. So as we do payroll and everything else, I think we're paying a little more, but it's not too far off either. But same token, I mean, that's something we have to think about. We got a really good crew right now, so, but at the same token, do we keep our crew? I don't know. I'll be 100% honest, I'm not for it against, I could be either way. If we'd have a good crew, I would say, hey, this is a great opportunity for us, but we have a great group, you know, group of individuals. So.
I would just suggest, I mean, I could be way off here, but just for us to have a workshop about it.
Yeah, that'd be fun to see too.
I will say we can take a great crew and make it better. And we'll make it, I like to tell communities if they're concerned about the existing crew, we take them from a job and put them in a career. I started out reading water meters when I transferred to Alliance, and now I'm the director of business development for the company.
Would that be a part of this contract? Would you be reading water meters?
Yep.
Yeah, that's all included in there.
Yeah.
We do the billing and the collecting.
Yeah,
right?
you do the billing and collection.
So it's all basically.
How long is this contract, I mean, usually how long contracts for?
Most of our contracts are a 5-year agreement, and then at the end of the 5 years, most go ahead and extend for another 5. If for whatever reason things didn't work out, then
The ones that have, how seamless of a process is it to?
we help. If it doesn't work out, we're there 100% till the city's ready to take off and go back on its own. Usually, a lot of times they'll go back in-house.
Well, that's what I would assume would be in-house versus.
Doesn't happen very often because, you know, once a city has seen what we brought to them, the information we brought, I mean, every month you'll get a full operational report of everything that's going on in the water system, everything that's going on in the wastewater system, all the sample results. I should have given you
Yeah, I don't think we ever.
the sample of one of our operational reports that we put in we provided that to the city prior to the meeting, so you'd have time to, I don't know if you get a packet that you review prior to the meeting, but all that operational information is in that packet. We tell you, what the test results were, all the duties we performed for that month, what water loss we calculated, water loss, will tell you what water loss is. I mean, it's just a full-blown report.
Yeah, and the way I take this, and correct me if I'm wrong, for each part, the only employees we would be responsible for at that point would be here, City Hall, and the police and PD.
That's That's good. Yeah, this proposal is full. We
So
proposed full.
everything, water readings, maintenance,
Maintenance guys.
Mowing.
they do.
We do that.
It's all in there, guys, yeah.
Or one's in there, snow blade is in there.
Snowblade, not just water?
Yeah, everything's included in that.
It's a-
And that's what, honestly, that was the peak of my interest, so, but
Well, I think it's something we can look into for sure. Like I said, I think just a workshop, to discuss it.
did he discuss too, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think of some ideas thinking, I don't want to feel like I'm selling this, but I just want to, things that pique my interest, vehicles, they provide the vehicles.
Yeah, there's 2 vehicles in the proposal that you indicated to.
What about
the city?
Equipment there themselves.
Yeah, the equipment charge, yeah. We will maintain it and operate, so the fuel for that equipment, the oil, all that, that's in our base fee. Now, if an engine blows and it's,
Right.
then that would come to the city, because that's a capital expenditure that you're going to expense out on depreciation schedule. But routine maintenance, vehicle equipment maintenance is in our base fee. Another thing, there's a, if you, I think there's a draft agreement in the back. It breaks out a repair limit and a chemical limit. So that number, what at the end of the fiscal year, any funds that are left in that, in the repair or the chemical repair cap, they're refunded back to the city. So if we set the repair limit is set and we don't expend all those funds, then we're going to cut you a check back at the end of the year and say we didn't spend all these. Now, if something unforeseen comes up before we get to the end of the fiscal year, then we're going to come to you and say, okay, we're going to be X amount of dollars over the repair cap, and then we're going to ask you for that amount at the end of the fiscal year to cover those overages. But you're going to know that well in advance, because if we see it start trending that way, then that's when we let you know. It's not going to be, we come to a meeting and say, oh, by the way, we're over by $1,000. You're going to know that months in advance, well, you're going to know every month where you're at on the repair cap and the chemical cap. And for this gentleman back here, I've been in his chair. I was there 20 years ago when the water district I was working for was contemplating whether to hire Alliance or not, so I know exactly what you're thinking.
It's good for me, I mean.
I've been there.
Besides,
It's good for it's, like I said, it takes a job and makes a career out of it.
You guys can make motions.
Lots, but
Maybe we can set up like a time that's convenient for you, Mark, to have like a workshop and, you know,
Yeah.
give these guys, maybe myself, give us some time, maybe if they've got any questions. And then we can, you know, set a time, probably give us a couple weeks or something. Maybe after our September meeting.
I was thinking we need for us to kind of go over it amongst ourselves.
We can do that, for sure.
And then we can call him back. And,
Yeah.
We would compile this.
Whatever works for you. Then there's some references in there. I don't know if you got a chance to reach out to any of them. The 2 closest communities we work for right now are Phelps County #2 over in Rolla and the city of St. James. So if you want to, feel free to give them a call and reach out to them. I also put the city of Rich Hill on there. And the reason I put them on there is we contracted with them 2 years ago to do just water and waste distribution and collection and treatment. They got a water treatment plant and a wastewater treatment plant. So we contracted with them 2 years ago for just those facilities. Last week, they expanded our scope to include full public works because they were so impressed with what we did to their water and wastewater operations that they said, can you just manage all of it? So we expanded our scope there. So I put that reference in there so you can call and speak to the mayor, because we didn't go to them and say, hey, we'd like to do your public works. The mayor actually called us and said, we're so impressed. Could you do full public works for us? And so that's how it happened.
Do you guys do trash service in other cities too, or is that?
We do not, and that was something that Rich Hill, they did trash service. And they asked us to take a look at it. For insurance purposes, What we suggested to them was we could manage it, but we suggested they go ahead and just contract that out. And that's what they did, and they chose to manage it themselves. But they got out of trash business as well. Because it just, they were losing like that. And I think they were picking up trash every day. So and they were having to drive like 40 miles, so they were losing that revenue.
No.
I think part of what we'll do is we appreciate you for coming down here. We'll schedule a meeting maybe amongst us, just to have, I say maybe we'll have a schedule workshop for us to talk about it probably in a couple of weeks. Maybe before, after we look at the schedule. Maybe we can at least schedule one up, maybe next week or something, maybe like Thursday, give us some time to think about it. And maybe September after our first meeting, our regular meeting of the month, we'll set you up for that down and, have a little more discussion or workshop with us.
Let me give each of you a card, that way if you do have.
You guys can feel free, you guys can talk to Trevor too, you guys can even reach out to him. I mean, I'm new to this, so you guys don't have to read a lot of that, but there's a lot to take in.
And that's my cell number, so you can call me 24/7.
Thank you, Mark, we appreciate you.
Not a problem at all. Like I said, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll be more than happy to come back and we can get into more detail. If you get a chance to review the contract and have any questions about that language, you can read through that. I'm sure you'll probably want to send it to your city attorney and have him review the document as well. It's a short trip to the city attorney.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a great night.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Let's move on to, let's move on to online banking for Marys County. Marys County is requesting us, we didn't have that banking in Missouri, but Marys County is wanting us to approve it, so we have the minutes gaining access to online banking. So I'll need a motion to approve, and then I don't think any of us will have any.
Is there anything that we should know about it at all? Is it for checking or something?
Honestly, just so we can check balances,
That haven't called.
without
Who
a call.
will have access, I guess?
I'd say anybody that's on an account would ideally have access. The only one that can transfer funds from account to account would be
That's why, that's kind of.
yeah, city clerk. So, me and Anthony, we could look at the account balances, but the only one that can actually move from like account A to account B would be her.
But that's, you're just talking specifically on the line. You and anything personally.
Yeah, we can do that anytime. What we're doing right now is, ease of access, so when we reconcile votes and so on, just make sure it's easier this way, why we haven't done it in the past. Exactly, I don't know, but that's what they're reporting from us is minutes.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve online banking for Marys County Bank.
Yes.
I'll second.
Anthony Kingston,
Yes.
Mike Noel,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Miles.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Next would be the drive-up window for the collector. This is something, especially that COVID-19 has brought to our attention, that is something that would definitely help us here at City Hall. I think I went over with everybody at this point what my idea was with the drive-up window there. You guys have a packet in there showing the proposed, it says pharmacy window, but comes with intercom and everything. I think it's $7,619. Was that shipped?
Yeah.
Or no? Okay. That was the ship price.
That's what it says.
Does it fit exactly?
Not
Or just
exact.
not the wall or?
No, it'll fit in that window space. I think the window was 60 by 60. I think this one says 53 and a half, so they'll have to have some type of, yeah, I'll plate it in there.
Is that something we're doing now?
We could do it two different ways. I think we could easily do it in-house. If we want to hire it out, we could too. The most expensive thing we're going to have in this whole project, I believe, is going to be the window guys. With hopes that maybe we will get reimbursed for this. So, the rest of it, I believe we're going to have gravel through there, locked up in a culvert. I would say if we set a budget of $10,000, we should come well within that. And again, within hopes that we will get reimbursed for that.
Mike, if I think it's not correct, that one has the drop box also in it. You know, it's kind of added to the
Yeah, so we're killing, yeah, we're taking care of two different things, so, yeah, I should have brought that up, guys, too, that was something I definitely wanted to make, you know, demanded on this, was the drop box should be there too, so there's no more going to the PD every day, check the drop box, it'll all be
Okay,
done
just
here.
right, yeah, it's right there.
It'll all be done here at City Hall, yes.
Okay.
So that system comes with intercom, everything we will need, so it should be fairly easy. And I talked to Kenny and Daniel about it, and I don't think the install's gonna be fairly hard at all.
I didn't think it was, it seems pretty easy to install, just gotta get the window in and all the electronics.
This is only, I'm not sure about is this counter, is that interior or exterior? It doesn't look
It
like-
should be interior.
Okay, so I have to frame something up inside, okay. I just trying to figure out how it works.
Yeah, and the way our office is set up in there now, the collector's office, we're gonna have to move some stuff around. Yeah, the filing cabinets and so on will have to be moved, I think.
I mean, it only needs to support 200 pounds, it says, so it's not major, I couldn't figure out if it was on the exterior or interior, so.
Yeah, the exterior of that Trevor is actually just like you drive to the
Just
bank,
flush.
flush on the outside, and the window slides out, or the box slides out, and then it slides back in for like security reasons at night and all that stuff.
I need to go through a counter now.
It is really,
Yeah.
I'm just joking.
It is.
I think it has to be.
Bullet resistant.
No. Just tell them not to make them too mad.
I just think it'd be another one of those things, it's helping our citizens, you know, with
But
another
it-
option for them.
The drop box alone is worth it. So,
The liability of the elderly getting out of their vehicles and tripping or falling, I mean,
In that, we were talking about too, and something we would have to do with this, but I think if we set a budget, if we can set up a little higher if you guys would like, but I think if we set a budget for $10,000-$11,000 within that, I think we could set up cameras, so camera editing, you know, at a door, I'd say door, driveway buzzer. Basically, someone comes across there, we just use the laser ones, which are fairly simple, I have one at my house. It would be much to install, and then we'd have a camera facing there, so she could see it, you know, we'd have some type of monitor in the office and then monitor at the door, and eventually we go to the buzzing system. So that's something later down the road, but, you know,
you think,
I don't know,
Basically-
$40 driveway, wouldn't that work too?
yeah, and that's, I have one, this thing's been out there for years, and it's battery operated, so.
do you think the 2,400 on top of the cost of that is going to include the $5 and gravel, everything else?
I would say if we're gonna just grab one in the driveway, we can discuss it if we want, you know, at different options later down the road, potentially concrete. or
Well, I
something
think
like that.
concrete and balance.
Yeah, concrete,
You know, so
I would
I
say.
think 24 is going to be pushing it.
We can go a little higher, you guys want to set it at 12, and, you know, I think we'll come in at our budget. I think we're going to by far. The culvert, what's a culvert, you know, running out straight now for out there, 18-inch, 12-inch?
I think the one out there now is 18 inches.
What's that, you know what that's costing us?
No, that I don't know. The last one they did price was like $500.
Okay, so we're gonna have some gravel, we're gonna have some dirt work, and I think we still, if we set up $12,000,
I think so.
I think we'll come way under budget.
Is there still money left in the fund for us to lock them up?
For the,
CARES Act?
We'll be under different loans in there.
it'd be the delivery, yeah.
Yeah. And the
We
small
can
business.
apply, right, we can always apply and then decide.
And I'll check, I can check tomorrow, we can, you know, we can check with Gene too, but I think this is a proposed idea, I think when Gene was here a couple of meetings ago, actually Gene recommended this.
Right. I just want to make sure too much time hadn't passed. or-
I don't even believe they've got that yet, Trevor.
That is
On those ones, no.
Because if it was something that there was no chance of us getting reimbursed for, then I would maybe walk at it a little bit, you know, and say it's just put a drop box in it.
I agree.
But I'm all for it as long as there is still, as long as you make that call and just confirm that there's still.
I don't think any of it other than just the small businesses.
I don't think any other funding has been dispersed yet for the cities. We'll need a motion for the amount, you guys want to set it.
I'll make a motion and set the budget at 12,000, install the driver in-house.
I'll second it.
Anthony Campbell.
Yes.
Mike Noel.
Yes.
Trevor Warren.
Yes.
Mary Miles.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Next on the agenda would be the telephone franchise fee. This is something at this point, I think we're just putting it out there. I've looked and researched, and maybe Jeff can do a little bit of research on this too. I just want to bring it to our attention. We're receiving a franchise fee from Cable America. We receive a franchise fee from the electric company, Casco Sage. I cannot find anywhere in the literature, I've talked to past mayors, past council members, why we are not receiving a franchise fee for the telephones. So, in doing this, I just want to bring this to our attention, basically, maybe we can have Jeff look into it. There's other cities, so it's not like it's not unheard of. We've actually reached out to Windstream, which they're very receptive and, open about it. And basically, they said, well, where's your ordinance and we'll back pay you. I cannot find that, any ordinance in the past. I'll have to go through, I think, Mr. Baker will help us kind of go, he has a CD with all the past ordinances on it. I'll go through all the minutes too, but I've yet to, like I said, find anything on it. I don't know if it's just something we've overlooked for years at a time, but with the change of hands of Windstream, this is something we definitely need to, move forward on. So.
No, they would back basically do not have it.
No, they don't. And I've looked through there, I looked through Alltel, I've looked, anything telephone related. It'd be really hard to believe that they missed it, and all the past councils and mayors and, but I cannot find at this point in time anything about it. But it's just something that definitely we have to proceed, pushing forward for. You guys got any questions on that one? Anybody else? Jeff, maybe you can help us out with that a little bit.
I'll look into it. I don't know either. The honest answer, no.
Next would be the wastewater plant. We're talking about the geotextile bags. This is something that was brought to us by Enviroline. They, basically what you do is you pump all the, what's the proper verbiage for it? You pump it into these bags. What they do is let the water back out and they turn solid. So we always have problems with getting rid of this at the end of the year. We haven't had it pumped out in what, 2 years?
We talked about it.
I don't know exactly, but we always, in the past, have either paid somebody to come pump them out, or, we found somebody with a field and pump them out through that. What these bags will allow us to do is basically you pump it into the bags. When I talked to Enviroline, he basically said one bag should last us a year. And what that does is at the end of the year, all the water's out of the bag lets water out, but nothing in. So then you have, he recommended putting it basically in a roll-off, and at the end of the year, you have the roll-off, haul off, and dumped. We could dump it in one of our fields or something. At that point, there's no.
So we actually just set the back and roll off?
Yes.
Okay.
That was the-
I saw the pictures of Mrs. taking sketches in the middle of it.
Yeah, so I was down in Pulaski County, their waste treatment plant the other day, just by chance, something unrelated to the city. But they have, I believe, 4 of them down there. They've created a bin basically for them. They don't have a roll-off container, but since we don't have a bin for them, maybe that's something we can talk about as, we do construction down there for our UV project or chlorine project or however, that's something we could eventually do. What these bags allow us to do is, I think the bag on average was less than $3,000. So if you guys remember right, I think what we paid last time we had to have somebody hauled off was like $18,000. So these bags will basically allow us to take care of that. Now we're going to have, combined in that price, I say $3,000, we're going to have a roll-off expense on that too. So we're going to, be paying, but we already have a roll-off down there, so we can do 2 things. We can either have an idea and convert that over to the one we're going to use for the bag, or we can have another roll-off.
Do we own it, or?
We do not. We could potentially look at that. That would be an idea because it's going to be long-term.
Basically, it's going to be sitting there all the time.
It is.
Moved once a year.
We would have
One
to
of the
pay.
roll-offs we already have?
We don't have a margin enough to get rid of.
Not big enough.
No, yeah, these bags are.
We can
Well,
do these
dumpster, I
for
guess we
shade.
have dumpster.
No,
We can
not that.
buy these or something that's junk.
Yeah. And when I spoke to them on it, basically they said, at the end of that year period of time, you just take, and we can take it up, the hill, we can spread that in our own field, if there's enough there's no restrictions at that point on it, so.
It's treated with that.
It's treated. So, I don't, but this is definitely something that's been a thorn in our side with our waste treatment plant, so I don't know if this is something we want to make a motion for. I don't feel like we're spending too much money in one city.
Yeah.
But at the same token, I think it's money well spent. It's $3,000. I think it'll actually come in out of that.
We only need one, right?
You know, we can get by with one. Now, that may fill up sooner than later. Now, remember, I don't know how much sludge is in the bottle of them. That's something probably would be better answer for Kenny, would give us a, more detailed answer on that. So we may fill the initial one up quicker,
And then after that.
and then after that, it should be maintained.
I'm actually questioning the idea about putting a roll off, because I'm not sure there's a truck driver that would pick one up. It's going to be full.
They seem to be actually advertised with them in a roll-off. Yes.
You know what I mean?
I
I struggle to pick up a house.
Yeah, the same thing. But you're talking about a roll-off truck, not an actual trash truck. A roll-off container truck actually will lift quite a bit. Some of those roll-off trucks will lift 8,000 pounds with the roll-off, no vegetable container, so it's a little different. They're more like a dump truck setup where it rolls
Smart if
over.
we could just clear a spot.
And we could,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see it's here.
The problem being is it has to have some way to drain back into the system, so the
There's
areas,
sit uphill.
we would have to sit uphill, you'd have to have concrete areas around it, so.
Okay.
The problem with this is though, now, and I will tell you the problem with that is if you do the concrete setup versus the roll-off, and this is why I kind of like the idea of the roll-off. It's a roll-off, you don't have to worry about digging up or anything. You split the bag and you go dump it. If we have a concrete structure or someplace where it can drain back in, you have to cut the bag and then scoop it out of there. So it's creating a mess at that point. So there's two, either way would work.
Well, you're still going to have to spread it. What are you going to do?
I'm just talking about for cleaning myself out of our plant, that would be an easier fix.
So, what do we want to actually make a motion to go ahead and purchase one, or do we want to look into the roll-off and what that's going to cost us first?
I would say at this point, the sooner we get this done, the better off we are. And this has been something that has continually kicked us in the butt. We have,
I need to figure out at least what it would cost us once a year to put it.
and I can do that. I still think, as a price point versus having somebody come pump it. And take it away.
I remember that's a big expense.
I don't perceive, surely I would hope that we could buy a roll-off for under $2,000. So
That's why I didn't know.
I would say, I don't even price whatever, but I'm sure I could get with some of the trash companies locally, potentially buy one, and potentially work something out with them.
Yeah.
While they're coming in, doesn't it?
Do we have a place to set it that will work?
Yes.
Okay, that's, I
We do.
haven't had it in a while, so I couldn't remember exactly. So there is room to set one there.
Yeah, and that was actually one of our maintenance supervisor, that was his idea, was a roll-off too, so. Are you guys fine with that? Do you have any questions on it, concerns?
They're not interested.
Me too, I think that's money well spent.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
How much longer can we push off till we have to do something?
we're needing to get the sludge out of one now, right?
Yeah, we have one clarifier now, so
So we got.
I have no place to go with the stuff that's in it. And we gotta get the
Sure,
pump.
okay, all that out.
Yeah, it's either that or face of income. And at that point, we're gonna be way over the $3,000 that we could purchase a bag and do long-term years.
I didn't last one. Started to grow up.
We're going to go ahead and I make a motion to purchase a geotextile bag for the sewer treatment plant.
Also,
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Mike Nolan,
yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Wiles.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
Now we're getting this, a better subject, Trevor.
Yeah.
The next item on the agenda would be the sale/bid of taking bids of old equipment. You guys should have a list of the equipment in front of you. Make sure at that point, if there's any questions or anything, you let us know. I don't know if I have, I think so. Hold on. Do you guys want a second to look over it?
Are these three crown vics? Sorry, this one.
Yeah, those are old police department vehicles that are, yeah.
They're up on the backside of the sewer plant.
Probably.
One of that tree.
That's not counting the green that you're using.
No, that's not counting the, there's three other ones up there.
The three white ones that are back there.
And then what about the 98 Ram?
That's the one we have here, but the transmission does slip. But I mean, there's ways to fix it, but then I don't know how much that's gonna cost to fix.
Right.
But it's got over, almost 300,000 miles on it. So I don't know if we wanna put money into it.
Now, is the 08 Chevy dump truck, that's our, okay, that's not the other one. You didn't list the old dump truck on here. I guess it's performing okay.
Yes, I just gotta get it to the shop and get somebody to help me get the brakes put out on it, because they're pretty rusted on one end, so it's kinda easier just to take it to a garage and see how much they'll charge to help it do the brakes on it.
Maybe we can do that next week. We'll send out to one shop.
Maybe, I can just, it's gonna have to probably, the only one that's local that will do big trucks right now is Dixon Tire and Auto, because Steve's is still shut down, is that correct?
Yeah, we'll discuss that tomorrow though.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got 7 or more scrap.
Yes.
Assuming the dump truck will be working more than scrap.
Yes, I believe it will be.
With how many miles on that dump truck, Trevor, it's only got 13,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Even though it's an 08, it's only got 13,000 miles.
Well, if that's the case, then we should probably just fix it for ourselves and rather than go through the hassle of selling it. I mean, if it's worth something to somebody else, it might as well be worth it to us.
I don't know if it's worth something to us at this point, I think it's.
I don't know.
I don't know if it's worth anything to anybody else either.
Yeah. It's
I'm not
not
gonna get anything from it.
It's the right issue at this point, yeah. So,
Is that the one that had the spreader and the plow on it?
It did have,
It did have, yeah.
right now, it
The
doesn't
salvage
have,
plow, please?
it's sitting down here somewhere, I think it's in one of the yards.
fine.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't believe the plow's being sold, but we'll sell
Left it on
it.
the line.
Just the dump truck.
No, not that very big one. It's probably, it's a truck ton truck to support it.
It just kind of puts us in a,
I think that brings us to the last, meeting as we talked about having a automatic four-wheel drive pickup truck.
I agree, yeah, it's another expense to find another plow, and we could list the plow with the truck, I guess,
We could. I mean,
it's
it
more
goes to
good
the truck, so maybe that'd be, instead of by somebody else that, maybe constructing cities or North or someone that would look for a truck just for plow. We
I
could do
just,
that.
a plow for a truck, or another plow.
I think that'd be perfect. Let's include the plow then with it.
And I believe that's set down to sewer plant, I believe. Because it's not on it right now, I know that much.
But we'll keep the spreader.
Yeah, that's probably every vehicle here, so that's what we would keep for whichever vehicle we buy. You guys have any questions on any of the other ones? Do we want to take bids or,
We should probably at least try.
yeah, I would like to do like a sealed bid. I mean, that's what the surrounding counties, cities do.
Yeah.
Let's do a sealed bid for how long it would be, if you guys want to do it. 2 weeks would be the minimum, I would say a month would be the maximum.
Yeah, I would say 4 weeks, just.
Okay.
At least about 30 days,
Okay,
yeah.
let's do 30 days on it. As we talk about the scrap and so on, do we want to, at the same token, the old, down there where they keep the trash and dumpsters, do we want to see if we can get some bids on all the old scrap that's sitting there? Do we want to do that at the same time so we can kind of, clean up that whole area at once, or no?
Get rid of the dumpster.
Not the dumpsters, but the pipe and stuff like
It's
that.
just junk.
We have an old spreader bed down there that we have, and then we got a bunch of this scrap that's laying around.
Pretty much old equipment at that time, I don't know, but I'd just say that if we're gonna put one thing in paper, we might as well put both of them, and let's just clean it up then.
Yeah, that's fine.
What's the plan for the dumpsters? Is there half of them full?
I'll have to wait till next meeting to discuss it because.
So do we want to do these as two separate? Because
Everything will be separate on here, other than the lump, and we'll take pictures. I'll have these guys take pictures tomorrow, next day, and we'll plan, maybe have that put down on the paper next week and start it, and we'll run it for 30 days. We'll put it on our Facebook page, social media, and same token, we'll take pictures of the, old equipment that we consider scrap. And at that point too, we'll lump sum that, but each individual vehicle will be sold separately. Is that fine?
Yeah, I think that's good. Should we get yours for reserve your drives?
Do it, sir.
Should we get yours for the
I'll have to go back and search for the titles and everything. We just want to get this, so we
Yeah.
can run through it, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion to run ads for sealed bids for the vehicles listed and for the scrap metal for 30 days.
I'll second.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Mike Nolan,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Wells.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-0.
We want to set a time for them to come look at them.
Yeah, I'll set up like
We just do it by appointment.
by appointment, I'll set up like generally what they do, and most of them is they're open for, viewing, well, like a day each week or something, so it's convenient for everybody. That's what I'll go through there and do, set the time. But at the same time, if somebody, is driving from out of state or something that they want to look at, I'll try to, cater to them as best as I can. And we can as a city, so. I'll need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over these.
Put that one there.
Oh,
He gave them to us, we'll use that if you guys want to.
Okay, I'll send it.
Yeah. That was just for you guys to take with the envelope over.
Anthony Campbell,
yes.
Mike Nolan,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Wells.
Yes.
Shall we?
No.
Okay.
Thank you guys for coming out.